This sport is sponsored by Rapid Radios. Jason Tatum unfortunately got hurt in the fourth quarter last night, but they go down 3-1 to the New York Knicks, who are 1 game away from closing it out. And the Bengals, Trey Hendrickson said he will not play on his current deal. We'll need another one, the NFL sack leader. And then in the NBA draft lottery, the Dallas Mavericks traded away Luka Doncic midseason, landed the number 1 pick, and will presumptively take Cooper Flagg. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies, offering national LTE coverage and no subscriptions ever. A great alternative to a mobile phone for your kids for a limited time. Go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off.
Check the clock.
What time is it?
It's high noon. The Padres return to Petco. Not so great.
And he hits one in the air. It's deep to left. Moving after it is Lockridge. He's in the corner at the wall. It's gone! A grand slam!
The Angels pull off the win in the first game of the series.
Oh, that's not very nice.
And maybe Nico wasn't so wrong after all.
The number 1 pick in the 2025 NBA draft goes to the Dallas Mavericks.
Luka's replacement loading.
Cooper Flagg spinning, going in strong off the window for 2.
Plus a breakdown of the NBA playoffs. All today in the Fletch Zone.
Yeah, let's get it going here on a Tuesday. Can't even believe it's only Tuesday this week. It feels like it's already Friday plus whatever. But it is San Diego Sports 760. This is the Fletch Zone. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock today. John and Jim will take over then. And we have a lot to pack into a 2-hour show today. Kevin Acey will be joining the show. We do have a pair of tickets to give away to go see Simple Minds with Soft Cell and Modern English Saturday, May 24th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. And you're going to win those tickets today on the Talkback mic. We're going to make you work a little bit for it. So if you want to see Simple Minds with Soft Cell and Modern English, Sammy is going to pick the best talkback of the day, and we're going to give the tickets to you. How do you find the Talkback mic? Well, it's a little red microphone icon when you're listening to San Diego Sports 760 on the free iHeartRadio app. We love the Talkback mic, don't we, Sammy?
We love the Talkback mic. Talkback mic is one of the best features. That's how you're going to win tickets today.
That's what I just said, bro.
Well, I'm teaching Marshall how to do something. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
We got Marshall in studio today.
And we got Big Marsh on the mic in studio. A pair of tickets to see Simple Minds, Soft Cell, Modern English up for grabs on the Talkback.
They better be
today.
playing. Don't you forget about me.
All right. Padres bullpen has gone from like the best in baseball last week, literally a week ago today, to one of the worst bullpens in baseball over the last week. It's insane. Their ERA for the bullpen has ballooned from a 1.68 to like a 3.59 over the last 7 days. And that included last night. Where Suarez comes in, you think it's a lock because it has been a lock all season long. Robert Suarez, I believe this is his first blown save of the year, could not find the strike zone if he was throwing a baseball like at Big Marsh on the mic. Big Marsh, big guy. That's why his name's Big Marsh. But if you were to throw a baseball at him, you'd have a pretty easy time hitting him. Robert Suarez could not find the strike zone last night.
Damn, you taking shots?
No, it's Big Marsh on the mic, dude. That's his persona.
You're not supposed to be talking about big, okay?
I love Big Marsh.
I saw you eating donuts mid-show yesterday.
Oh, it's so good. But that's the point. Robert Suarez could not find the strike zone to save his life. He was like a yard outside of it every single time he threw a pitch, and the Padres suffer for it. They lose 9-4 to the Angels in a game where Jackson Merrill was fantastic, both in the field and at the plate. 3 hits for him last night, including a triple. Fernando Tatis Jr. goes yard. Fernando Tatis Jr., by the way, is going to be a big subject on the show today. Big subject on the show today is there's a camera that picked him up looking very, very sad in the dugout last night. So as you kind of put all this together for the Padres, it leads to opening up a series at home with the Angels, a team that has no business beating you, especially when you have a 9th inning lead, and they lose the game last night. So that's 2 in a row. We'll see if we need to start worrying yet. Maybe today's an overreaction Tuesday, but we'll find out. All right, we are going to get to the big 3 right now, where Sammy Long takes us through the biggest stories in the world of sports. I would assume an Achilles tendon is on the big 3 today. But Sammy Long, hit that button.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? I mean, coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big 3.
All right, before we get to the big 3, I want to bring something to everyone's attention. Sammy and I talked about this last week a little bit, maybe 2 weeks ago. But the new Naked Gun movie that's coming out in theaters, it comes out in August 1st, 2025. Liam Neeson is going to star as Frank Drebin Jr., the bumbling son of the iconic detective, in a reboot of the classic Naked Gun comedy franchise. Seth MacFarlane is a producer on this. I did not know that Pamela Anderson was going to be in this movie. That changes things a little bit for me. It really does. And Paul Walter Hauser, who has been excellent in kind of the horror drama category of his career. We'll see how he does in the comedy category. But I'm pretty pumped up about this movie. So if you want to win those tickets to go see Simple Minds with Soft Sell and Modern English, you're going to need to leave us a talk back about the new Naked Gun movie, about expectations for it, about memories from the old, about Leslie Nielsen somehow finding the most creative way to search an apartment every time he walked into one. Tell us your thoughts, your hopes, your dreams for the new Naked Gun movie on the Talkback mic on the free iHeartRadio app. Love the Talkback.
Yes,
mic.
go watch the trailer and tell us what you think. I'm personally very excited for this movie. I can't wait for it. That cast sounds amazing, and the Naked Gun movies are fantastic. So.
And Seth MacFarlane and Liam Neeson, the only other time they've teamed up outside of some Family Guy cameos was the movie 1,000 Ways to Die in the West.
Fantastic movie.
Solid flick. One of my favorite comedies.
A very underrated comedy movie, by the way.
Super underrated. And somehow that was a box office flop. I love that movie. Sammy, where are we starting?
We're going to start in the NBA draft lottery. Those damn Dallas Mavericks.
Did we not call it?
We did talk about it yesterday.
But we said yesterday, how funny would it be?
And what did we say
Mavericks
after we called it?
That Nico's going to trade it.
Yeah. So they landed number 1 pick. The Spurs will be picking number 2. They're obviously, besides the trade, going to be taking Cooper Flagg. Does this make the Luka trade look worse, better? Well, I see people rationalizing the Luka trade today. I see people going, it makes them look worse. What do you think on this?
You have to take them as two separate things because that's what they are. There was actually a 1% chance. So 1 out of every 100 times that they do the NBA draft lottery would the Dallas Mavericks have gotten the first overall pick. 1 out of 100. That's what happened last night. You cannot, in any world, make the Luka trade any better because of this happening or make the Luka trade any worse because of this happening. It was a terrible trade from the Dallas Mavericks perspective. They got somehow ridiculously lucky, or if you want to put on the tinfoil hat, that's out there too. The Adam Silver somehow made a backdoor deal where he said, look, ratings in the NBA are down. We need another star in Los Angeles. You send Luka there, we will promise you Cooper Flagg. That's a very convenient and fun story to talk about. That's not what happened. The Mavericks just got bailed out somehow. Nico Harrison got bailed out for making one of the worst, cheapest trades in NBA history and somehow is being rewarded by a generational talent named Cooper Flagg. It's ridiculous is what it is.
Yeah, Nico Harrison sold his soul to the devil or something because this is
and it worked.
This is unbelievable. I mean, anyone rationalizing the Luka deal is absurd. This makes Nico Harrison look worse. Could you imagine what they could have had? They could have had Luka Doncic, 26-year-old superstar, best offensive playmaker in the league. You could have had 21-year-old Cooper Flagg, who has all the upside in the world to be a perennial all-star, potentially Hall of Fame player if the upside comes through there in Kyrie Irving. You traded Luka for Anthony Davis, who's 32 and has had massive injury problems. You have Kyrie Irving, who's a free agent who you're about to have to pay a ton of money, who's also 33 years old. Now, I heard Jay Williams talking about today on Get Up about how he thinks he would actually trade the pick, which is beyond me. Why would you trade for Giannis or one of these guys when you're trading for another 30-year-old player?
Because Jay Williams wanted you to say his name today, Sammy, and wanted everyone else to say his name today.
Very true.
This was a hot take on a hot take show where Jay Williams was trying to rationalize what would be an absolutely insane thing to do. More insane than trading Luka Doncic, I would say.
Then trading the Cooper Flagg pick?
If you were to trade the Cooper Flagg pick, that would be more absurd for Nico Harrison to do than trading Luka Doncic was.
I don't know about all that because we know what Luka Doncic is.
I think we know what Cooper Flagg is going to be.
We're projecting what he is. I think he's going to be a superstar, but we're going to get into this later because I really want to get back to this because the NBA draft lottery, I've been going back and forth. Like, part of it's really fun about how all these teams that don't make the playoffs get a chance to do this, and a team that's 1.8% gets a shot to get the number 1 pick. But it also makes me feel like we had a Wizards fan on the text line yesterday about how teams that are perennially bad, it kind of keeps them at the bottom because just because you don't have a very good record, you're not guaranteed. The last 7 seasons, the teams with the worst record have never had the number 1 pick.
By the way, the last 2 seasons, the team with the worst record in the league is at the 5th overall pick.
Right. So it's like how in the Wizards are at 6. How are they supposed to really get better when the NBA draft is your top 3 are superstars, and then your lottery picks are starters? The end of the first round is bench players, and then the second round's all G Leaguers. I think that's a discussion we're going to get into a little bit later. Number 2, Bengals, Trey Hendrickson said today during a press conference he will not play on his current deal and will be needing a new one. And it did not say whether he will, I guess he will be sitting out games if he doesn't have a new deal. What should the Bengals trade him? Should they pay him? What should go on here?
They should pay him, but they also need to pay other people on the defense. So here's what the Bengals have a problem. And I kind of saw this coming yesterday when Trey Hendrickson came out and said, yeah, I haven't heard anything from the Bengals since the NFL draft. obviously that was him saying, hey, Bengals, you got about 24 hours before I announce that I am going to be holding out this season until I get a new deal or I get traded. Absolutely what Trey Hendrickson should do. Now, the Bengals, they need Trey Hendrickson on their team. They also need a whole defense. So they need to decide right now and over the next 2 months whether or not they are going to pay Trey Hendrickson and hope that they're able to make some sort of thing work where they're able to pay a few guys in free agency, maybe make a couple trades before the season begins to try to get some defense in, or they do this. They trade Trey Hendrickson, get a bunch of picks in return. He's going to be worth a lion's share of picks and or current players. And then you figure out how to build up a defense between now and between September 4th, I believe, which is when the season begins. The Bengals need some serious work, and they're either going to have to pay a ton of money to Trey Hendrickson and do that work, or trade Trey Hendrickson and then use what they get back instead of just doing the Bengals thing and saving money and not spending any money. Use what you get back and freaking
What
spend.
does that do for them now? The draft's passed.
The draft is passed, but you got to start adding pieces to this team now so that by the time next year comes around, you're able to get some sort of serviceable defense on the field.
I mean, I get that, but why didn't they trade him a month ago?
They should have.
You have Joe Burrow. They think they're in a win now mode. You don't pay T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow thinking that you're going to win 3 years from now. If you weren't going to pay him, you should trade him before. They already got Shamar Stewart in the draft from A&M, who's projected to be a really good pass rusher, even though he only has 4.5 career sacks at A&M. And so now you're just letting him go. So let's just say he's not going to be Trey Hendrickson. Let's just say he is Trey Hendrickson for the benefit of the doubt. You're exactly where you were last year. They didn't do anything to this defense. I can't believe that we're not hearing more. Maybe Joe Burrow's fine playing with his buddy Chase. We play with at LSU, but it feels like they're wasting their time in Cincinnati.
They should have gotten Travis Hunter, someone who could play both ways, save some money that way. Next.
Let's go back to the NBA. So the Boston Celtics lost again last night. They are down 3-1 to the Knicks. And then the Pacers back tonight, up 3-1 on the Cavs. Does either team have any shot of coming back from this deficit?
No, neither. The Cavs and the Celtics are both done. The Celtics especially done now that Jason Tatum, look, there's doctors online. Nothing official has come out, but the doctors that I follow have said it looks like a torn ACL to me, meaning he's done. And if you watch that play, my wife and I were sitting on the couch last night watching the game, and she was like, what even happened to him? And you can kind of see as soon as it's that Kevin Durant injury, it's the same feeling you get. It's like, oh, nothing really happens, but he puts the pressure on the ball of his foot, and then you see him sort of just collapse. And it felt like an Achilles right away for me. You don't get that reaction on the ground without the player or the person noticing a crack or a pop. So hopefully it's not that, but it sure does seem like Jason Tatum's done for the rest of this series and the rest of this season, and the Celtics are probably done too.
Yeah, I'm not going to say the series is done yet because 2 of the games would be in Boston, and you still have Jaylen Brown, that lineup. But I do think all
of a sudden Karl Anthony Towns is playing great.
Yeah, the Knicks are playing fantastic. Jalen Brunson has quieted everything. Another reason why Nico Harrison's a terrible GM. He let him go after drafting him in the second round. Jalen Brunson, the whole narrative around him was that he's too small. He couldn't be a number one on a team. Well, he is a number one on a team. They're about to eliminate the Boston Celtics. I think they're probably going to be favored against the Pacers, and they might find themselves in the NBA Finals. The Celtics still have some fight left because Jaylen Brown, Porzingis is still there. I think they're done. The Cavs feel like
What's Donovan Mitchell's status?
I think I actually got to get up on that because I think he's going to play. I'll check that for the next segment because I think they kind of held him out in the second half. If Donovan Mitchell doesn't play, they're completely cooked. The Cavs feel like they're genuinely just lost against the Pacers. I mean, they're 1-5 or 1-6 going back to the regular season. The Pacers look young. They look hungry. We didn't give them enough respect coming into the playoffs. Their lineup 1 through 10 is absolutely lethal. And honestly, everyone thought the Cavs Celtics would be such a fun Eastern Conference Finals. I think the Pacers and the Knicks are going to be a really fun Eastern Conference Finals that is probably going to be a pick'em series. I'd probably give the slight edge to New York a little bit. I bet the betting market will, especially with the amount of New York Knicks fans. But I think we're in for a very interesting Eastern Conference Finals more than it would have been Cavs Celtics.
The latest on Donovan Mitchell is that he is extremely iffy for Game 5 coming up tonight. That's from Shams a little bit earlier. So if Donovan Mitchell doesn't play, they're toast. I think that's basically what it is, but we'll see if he tries to get it out. All right, coming up next on the Fletch Zone on San Diego Sports 760, Padres gave one away at the end of the game last night, and that's something we haven't really gotten used to. Plus, NFL schedule, feels like most of it's already released. We'll tell you what we know coming up next on San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Hey, it's Fletch for Gary Cooper at Mountain Trust Mortgage and Realty. Give Gary a call today, 858-376-1299, or visit him online at mountaintrustmortgage.com. And we got Gary with us today because, Gary, you got a new listing to tell everybody about.
I did. I'm pretty excited about this one. It's up in Big Bear Lake and is absolutely beautiful, meticulous, well-maintained property listed at $575,000. It's 992 square feet, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and it has this massive wraparound porch with a jacuzzi on it, and it is unbelievably stunning. It comes with a newly sanded and stained huge wraparound entertainer's deck with beautiful glass railings. This top tier property currently ranks in the top 10% on Airbnb with almost perfect 5-star review status. So it comes with your laundry, washer, dryer, freshly painted interior, new carpet, located in the coveted Moon Ridge neighborhood, just minutes from Bear Mountain Resort, the village, the zoo, the lake. But it is absolutely meticulous. So if you're looking for a second home or maybe like an investment property, this is it. And I'm not exaggerating. So if you have any interest, give me a call. I can provide you with a private showing.
858-376-1299. Again, that's 858-376-1299, or visit Gary Cooper online at mountaintrustmortgage.com. Get yourself up to Big Bear. Hit us up on the Talkback mic on the free iHeartRadio app. Download the free iHeartRadio app. Listen to San Diego Sports 760. Find that red microphone button next to the play button. That is going to be a 30-second message you can leave. It goes straight to Sammy's computer. He can listen to them all. We'll play them back on the air. In fact, the best Talkback today, you are getting a pair of tickets to go see Simple Minds with Soft Sell Modern English Saturday, May 24th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. So light up the Talkback mic all show long. All right, we got a comment on YouTube from our buddy Paris. Says, I'm going to the Padres game tonight. May the bullpen show up for me. Well, Paris, that's a tall task for the Padres bullpen over the last week and a half or so. Last night, Robert Suarez given away the game that the Padres had won, the game that Jackson Merrill really built, playing excellent defense in the outfield. That catch he made in the 7th inning, coming in on the ball on a line drive that was sort of cutting, was fantastic. The catch he made early in the game where he was back up against the wall, took a great line for it. Jackson Merrill also at the plate was phenomenal last night. Fernando Tatis Jr. hits a home run last night. Michael King pitched well last night. And the Padres lose it in the 9th inning because their closer could not throw a strike to save his life. And then Alec Jacob comes in and gives up the grand slam. A brutal way for the Padres to come back home to San Diego, losing a game to the Angels without Mike Trout, their only redeeming quality. So kind of a rough night for the Pods last night. Paris, I hope the bullpen does show up for you tonight because they need a little bit of a reset here.
Yes, Paris, 100%. Yeah, that was tough last night. It really felt like kind of like Sunday. They just came out lackadaisical. Or they didn't come out lackadaisical. They halfway through the game, it felt like, credit to Merrill making the 2 great catches in center field, having a great night. It did set up for a Padre victory, and it was just kind of sloppy on both sides. The Padres had the throwing air to first. Kikuchi had the throwing air, which allowed the Padres to get that 3-2 lead. But the bullpen's been a little bit of a trend now, and I kind of over the road trip didn't think much of it because I just felt like there's a 9-game road trip. You played the Yankees. You're burning through the pen a little bit. There were a couple extra games in there, extra inning games. But at home with Petco, with the all these great fans, it feels like the bullpen and kind of you get them with a lead. But I don't know what's up with Suarez. Again, it's not a trend yet for Suarez because that's really been the only bad performance so far this year. But I mean, he was missing bad. I mean, you don't walk 2 guys home
like a yard outside the plate.
I mean,
dude.
it wasn't even. It was odd. He wasn't even having competitive pitches. Like because you thought that if you're trying to kind of work the corners, but it's not working, that the ump's not giving it to you. I mean, he was making it obvious. The Angels were just standing there. They were literally just standing there, not swinging the bat. Until obviously the grand slam off.
You and I could have walked last night.
We could have walked outside.
We could have stood there.
I could have stayed there. Got paid a lot of money.
Yeah, I'd even take one on the shoulder maybe. But the trend is not Robert Suarez, right? Robert Suarez had 1 bad game, and you can kind of overcome that. And hopefully that doesn't turn into a little bit of a bad month for Suarez. But I have faith that he's going to be just fine. The trend is that last Monday, and I stole this from Jim Russell. Thank you, Jim. Last Monday, the Padres bullpen had a team ERA of 1.68. As of today, the Padres have a team bullpen of ERA of 3.25. That's a pretty dramatic jump to happen in just 7 days' time. And the Padres bullpen, which was the biggest strength of this team at the beginning of the year, all of a sudden over the last week and a half has become a little bit of a weakness. And hopefully that is not a trend that continues. Padres have the Angels again tonight. Dylan Cease on the mound, yeah?
I believe so.
99% sure on that.
Yeah, they checking it right now.
We'll have Kevin Acey on the show coming up at 1:30 today. Couple texts that came in. I brought up Tatis.
Yeah, don't see for Soriano. Soriano is also a really good pitcher. He's kind of their young guy. So the Padres better get this one tonight. You cannot lose a series. You cannot lose the Rockies on Sunday and then lose a series to the Angels. I'm sorry.
Brutal. 2 of the worst teams in baseball. Now, I brought up Tatis looking sad in the dugout, and Larry Joe on the text line from the 951 brings up something I was going to say. Says, Larry Joe here, regarding Tatis looking sad in the dugout, remember, although it may have been a tough play to make for the rest of us, he did drop the foul ball in the 9th inning that would have been the second out with only 1 on base to try to close the night. After that drop foul ball, Suarez couldn't find the strike zone, and we know the rest. Hiccup. Yes, Fernando Tatis Jr. for sure feels like he should have made that play. That's not something that you would ever put an error on, but when you have Fernando Tatis Jr.'s athleticism, when you have his competitiveness, you want to make that play for the team, and that does probably change things. We'd see if Suarez got out of it with only 1 more out to go. However, the internet would like you to think that Fernando Tatis Jr. is sad because he feels like he's producing and the rest of the team is not. I don't think that's what it is. Look, Nando's up to 10, maybe even 11 home runs on the year so far this season. Fernando's playing some really, really good baseball. And if he's looking sad in the dugout, I think that the one and only reason is because every single time he tries to get out on the field, it's to win. And the Padres have been doing a lot of that lately. The vibes have been high. But when you get a loss like that, especially when your team has such a big lead, kind of brutal. All right, coming up next on the Fletch Zone on San Diego Sports 760, the NFL has been releasing its schedule bit by bit, which I'm not a huge fan of. But we do have all the international games. And there's more of them this year than there were last year than there were the year before. Do we need to keep adding international games? Let's talk about it. Coming up next, San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This sport is sponsored by Rapid Radios. Padres back tonight after losing to the Angels 9-5 yesterday. That game will be going at 6:40. Padres are minus 215 on the money line. Jose Soriano will be going for the Angels, while Dylan Cease will be going for the Padres. In the NBA tonight, the only series that is 2-2, the Nuggets and Oklahoma City will get going live from Denver, or from Oklahoma City. They are currently favored by 9.5 with the point total set at 221.5. That game will go on at 6:30. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Business owners can keep in touch with up to 200 staff members at one time. Go to rapidradios.com now for up to 60% off and free shipping.
San Diego FC back on the pitch tomorrow night, taking on the Colorado Rapids at Snapdragon Stadium. You can hear the match live tomorrow night, starting at 7 o'clock right here on San Diego Sports 760. Immediately following SDFC Midweek Live, your home for SDFC is San Diego Sports 760. All right, texts are coming in. We also want you to use the talkback mic today. That's the little red microphone icon. When you're listening to San Diego Sports 760 on the free iHeartRadio app, use the talkback mic today. We're going to pick the best one. We're going to give you a pair of tickets to go see Soft Cell. Who else was on that show? Sammy. Soft Cell, Simple Minds, Modern English, Saturday, May 24th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Ticketmaster.com for tickets or win them on the talkback mic. We love the talkback mic.
Talkback mic's the best. Yeah, give us your thoughts on the Naked Gun trailer.
All right, couple texts coming in. 484. You know how years ago the Padres use Onyx's Slam and Boston uses Dropkick Murphys Shipping Up to Boston as their song or their team songs after last night's beatdown? The New York Knicks should incorporate Prodigy's Smack My B Up. Brunson Dominated.
Yes, sir.
I don't think that's actually the title of the song.
But shout out to 484. Anytime, in all seriousness, all best wishes to Jason Tatum. But anytime the Boston Celtics lose, it is a beautiful day.
That place was rocking last night.
The Knicks, all the celebs there, you see celeb, bro.
Timothy Chalamet does not look like he's nearly enough man for Kylie Jenner. That's all I'm going to say. I feel like she probably hurts him. 619
That's
says,
a crazy thing to end that text on.
Oh, also Padres using Onyx's Slam just real quick. And I obviously the Padres social media team does an excellent job. Not saying they don't. However, 2 days before the Padres put out the video of the Slam Diego, where it was four grand slams in 4 days. 2 days before they did that video, which ended up going crazy viral and all over the place, on this station, in this studio, I created a mashup of Don Orsillo's home run calls to the song Slam by Onyx.
I like that.
Not saying they stole it.
So you're saying, right, they were listening and then they took credit for you. Really should be Ben Fletcher that created Slam Diego.
I mean, I think so. I didn't create Slam Diego. Don Orsillo created Slam Diego. But I did make that mashup before the Padres made it. And then a text from the 619. 619 says, Sammy, you are not making sense, in parentheses, again. There's no way that Luka Doncic and Cooper Flagg could have been teammates had the trade not happened. Dallas wouldn't even be in the lottery if they had kept Luka. Sammy, the
first off, do you think Nico Harrison made that move? The whole reason they made that move because they wanted guys that played defense in both ways. They wanted to win now. You think they got Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis?
Just in case you're not watching on the stream, Sammy is staring into the camera as he says.
Do you think they got Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis to win down the road? The only reason they're in the lottery is because they got hurt. Oh, they didn't make the move to not make the playoffs. If theoretically Luka was hurt for a good portion of the season last year, that has nothing to do with why they're in the lottery. They're in the lottery because Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis both were hurt, and then Kyrie Irving ripped his ACL, so they made the lottery, and they had another pick. They made the play-in. They had another pick in it, so no. Just letting you know.
You happy with that?
That's an incorrect text,
hey,
but I appreciate you listening.
Thank you for listening, man. I appreciate you a lot. Sammy sounds like he's upset. International games for 2025 have been released. We can run through them real quickly. If there's any that stands out, stop me. It looks like now the Chiefs haven't been officially announced for the Sao Paulo game, which happens on Friday, September 5th, but the Chargers have been announced. People think it's going to be the Chiefs who are playing against them. Sammy says that's going to be a quick 1-0.
That's a quick W right
for
there.
The Chargers. On Sunday, September 28th, the Vikings will be in Dublin playing against the Steelers. And then the Vikings actually stay abroad back-to-back weeks. This is the first time anyone other than the Jaguars has done this. The Vikings will play the Cleveland Browns also this time in London. So they're making the jump. And then in October, the Broncos playing the Jets in London, the Rams playing the Jags in London, a game you'll hear here on San Diego Sports 760. And the Falcons will be taking on the Colts in Berlin. The Commanders will be taking on the Dolphins for the first ever NFL game in Madrid. First of all, any of those games really stick out to you, Sammy?
All the games. As long as there's NFL football on, we're watching.
We're happy about it. I absolutely agree with that. I will say I'm kind of done with the overseas games. Initially, I was gung-ho.
Really? Why?
All in on them. I loved them because we are interrupting so much when it comes to the NFL season. Like there's Adam Schefter has a tweet out about the amount of miles that will be traveled this year for NFL teams. And it's obviously so skewed because some teams are traveling overseas and some aren't. I think it does create a competitive imbalance in the NFL, which is not a good thing. Baseball, sure. All the overseas games you want because regular season games, 1 out of 162 doesn't really matter. When you're talking about 1 out of 17 or 1 out of 18, Matters a lot.
Yes,
man.
okay, I'm with you on that, but the problem is that it's not the NFL doing this. The NFL is offering teams these games. The Chargers, let's just be real. Once they left San Diego, a lot of San Diego is like, you're dead to me. So they need a fan base. In Los Angeles, they're the little brother. The Raiders are number one, then it's the Rams, and then it's them.
That's fine for one example, but there's plenty of teams who are going overseas who have a huge fan base.
The owners want this so that they can then build an international fan base. There's a reason why the Chiefs are playing overseas so they can market Patrick Mahomes.
Right, but tell me how this is fair. The Chargers this year will travel 37,086 miles compared to the Cincinnati Bengals, who will travel 8,753 miles.
Again, the Chargers ownership wants it's the Chargers' fault. If I hear the Chargers making excuses as to why, we've had a couple losses because of this, then don't take the game.
Okay, the Chargers might be a bad example. Let's take the Seahawks, for example, 31,302 miles, and now they are playing the Pacific
That's a
Northwest.
little skewed because they're Northwest.
Okay, Jacksonville, 29,006 miles, small fan base. 49ers, 28,363 miles this year compared to the Cincinnati Bengals, 8,753. Would you say both of those teams are going to be playoff teams this year? I would say probably.
Say both of those teams?
Bengals, Niners.
No.
So how? Okay, well, in non-Sammy world, both of those teams have chances to become playoff
they
teams
have
this
chances, but I think
How
this
is
is not
it
even
fair?
me talking. I don't know. I don't think the Niners are making the playoffs, and the Bengals don't have a defense.
How is it fair that one team is traveling 20,000 miles more than the other?
Again, the owners are taking the games. It's not the NFL going, you're playing in Madrid. That's not happening. Why do you see some teams that just don't? The New York Giants don't have to do it because the New York Giants are like, yeah, we're one of the biggest brands in the NFL. They want to market certain. Why do you think the Jaguars play in London every year? Because they have no fans. No one likes the Jacksonville Jaguars outside of a select group of people. So they need to go and try to get fans, overseas fans for this thing. I get it. I'm not saying you're wrong on any of this.
The Broncos, the Jets, the Commanders, the Falcons, the Colts, the Dolphins, those are all big fan bases who are also moving. The Steelers, one of the biggest fan bases in all of the NFL. The Vikings, one of the biggest fan bases. Like, there's plenty of fan bases who are traveling overseas this year. The NFL has this built in because the NFL wants the shield to be everywhere else. And then they go to owners and say, hey, you do us this favor and we'll figure out some way to repay you.
I think so. The Chiefs and Broncos got announced for Christmas, and then we'll get tomorrow the Thanksgiving schedule and the other games on Christmas. I do think, like, I'm excited as a Chiefs fan that they're going to be playing on Christmas, but I think that all the Christmas games, the Thanksgiving games, all this stuff,
I love it.
I love that. I'm saying you should wait till the week before so you get great matchups. Because if someone's hurt and it's late in the year, so you're going to have teams that are decimated by injury. So some of the games lack a little bit of luster.
Patrick Mahomes might not even be playing in that game. He's probably due for a season ender at some point.
It sounds like you're wishing up for that.
No, of course not.
So Ben Fletcher's wishing for Patrick Mahomes to get an ACL injury. That's crazy.
I would never say that.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the 6:30 start times for the London games?
Love it. You wake up, watch football all day.
I really like it too. But a lot of people complain about it. I love having a cup of coffee with fantasy football already going on my phone with the NFL Network crew doing it. Usually Rich Eisen gets a couple of those games, and I think Rich Eisen is one of the most talented broadcasters in the country.
This is why I'm kind of with international games. Do you remember the Bucks? Who are they playing? I think it was the Bucks and Cowboys, no, it was the Cowboys. Anyway, they were in Germany, and they were all singing "Country Road, Take Me Home." Like, that is a cool moment. That I anything that expands the love of the game, I'm all for. I hear you on I like, as fans of teams, I get where people could be frustrated. Marshall just showed me something. The YouTube TV will stream Week 1 NFL Brazil game for free.
Say it one more time.
YouTube will be streaming the Week 1 NFL Brazil game for free. I'm really excited for that because then the world can get introduced to Patrick Mahomes and the kind of legacy that he's going to be continuing building this year. So I'm all for that.
All right, we got a ton of texts coming in. We'll kind of read through those. 858 says, you think the owners in the NFL give a crap about fair? It's all about the money. 100% it is. 619, geez, Sammy, you are dense. You said Cooper Flagg could have been paired with Luka. How would that have been possible? Only if the Mavs were on the lottery. What the F does Anthony Davis getting injured have to do with a non-trade from the Lakers? Don't go through life be one of those insufferable fools who never acknowledges.
Here's what I'm explaining to you that you refuse to understand. The reason that they were in the lottery is because Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving got hurt, so they lost a bunch of games. If they had not been hurt, they would have still been playing, so they wouldn't have had a lottery pick.
619, rough night last night for the Pods. These are the type of losses that can haunt you in the playoffs when you get in a similar situation and Sanchez gets the yips. Suarez gets the yips, remember, in last night's loss and loses the strike zone. I put the blame on Schilt after 2 walks. He should have had a guy up immediately in the pen and then stalled with a few mound visits. Hopefully they learn from this one. Good text.
Yeah.
All right, Padres, NFL, keep it coming. On the talkback mic, on the text line, talkback mic is the little red microphone icon right next to the play button when you're listening to us on the free iHeartRadio app. Leave us a 30-second talkback. We'd love to hear from you. Coming up next, it is time for long shots. Julius Randle sold the bag last night.
Should have known. I got greedy going with the under. I thought that because he had a big triple-double the game before, we were due for some regression, but
turns out Minnesota is not here to play around. It was a halftime speech from Anthony Edwards that apparently fired up the T-Wolves.
But he had like 20 at Avs, so we were kind of screwed before then.
We'll talk about that in hour number 2. But coming up next on the Fletch Zone, it is long shots with Sammy Long, who's going to make you some money on a daily fantasy lineup that you can play later tonight on San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760. If you haven't seen it, there's a trailer out for the new Naked Gun movie. Liam Neeson's going to be playing the role that Leslie Nielsen used to play in Police Squad in the Naked Gun movie. If you want to leave a talkback about that today on the talkback, Mike, we would love to hear it. We have a great one that we're going to have to be very careful with how we frame because it has a lot of OJ references in it. But I love it. And by the way, the trailer references OJ. The trailer has whoever is playing OJ's son in the trailer. It's kind of great.
Wild behavior.
Dude, wild by Seth MacFarlane, but I kind of love it. All right, we got long shots coming up in just a second, but we a couple texts to catch up on. 858 says the Jaguars owner Shad Khan owns the stadium out in London. That's why they play 2 games there every year. And no player cares about flying. They fly on private charters with all amenities included. Most even bring their girlfriends and leave their wives at home. Now, 858, great text. I will say Rich Rohrnberger did one of these. He
left his wife at home.
No, when he was with the Patriots, though, they played in London, and that was when the international games were first kind of starting in the NFL. And he said it's an experience he would never trade in for anything. He just talks about how cool it was, one of the highlights of his NFL career. So I understand that, but the competitive imbalance does come into play. Like there are teams that get absolutely shafted with this, and I understand even if it's their choice, it's not the player's choice. Like you're telling me you wouldn't be a little more well-rested if you were sleeping in your own bed instead of giving up a home game and going to play overseas? Like it's crazy.
Yeah, well, the time change is that's why they usually do the back-to-backs. And the Jags have stayed out 2 weeks in a row, which to your point, Fletch, I do think that is a big advantage. Like if the Jags playing the second week have been there and are adjusted to it and on the same sleep schedule, I mean, that's tough to get in on like a Thursday or Friday when I don't know what London is, like 8 hours ahead?
I have no idea.
Something like that. Where, I mean, that's pretty tough to adjust to and then go hit people.
They're on London time. They're probably all at the pub. 858 says, sort of off topic, sorry, but the Raiders never posted anything about Derek Carr's retirement. As a Raiders fan, it feels like a miss. Pretty disrespectful for a team that slogan is once a Raider, always a Raider to not acknowledge him. Maybe I'm overreacting. Thoughts? 858, great text. And I hadn't seen that yet. I would imagine the Raiders will be doing something, will be cooking something up. Because you think about 2016, Derek Carr, dude was a problem. Dude almost won MVP that year if he hadn't broken a bone. And that was actually a really fun Raiders team. And you were kind of seeing that moment, Derek Carr, thinking about his future, what he could be with the Raiders. And I think an injury really changed everything about the future outlook of his career. I would imagine the Raiders will do something. I don't know that it's like league official yet. I know the Saints put out a statement about it, and Derek Carr has talked about it yet. But there's still people who say Derek Carr's not fully retired. Like he might come back and play.
858, I'm with you on that. I mean, that's like he was. I mean, the Raiders were so bad for so long, and whatever you feel about Derek Carr, whether you think he's a good quarterback or a bad quarterback, he did bring that franchise back to relevancy.
He almost had an MVP season.
He was amazing. I mean, remember he got hurt. I believe they were playing Houston in a playoff game.
He snapped his arm in half, didn't he?
I mean, that team was pretty dangerous. I don't think they would have won a Super Bowl or anything, but I mean,
they had backups playing in the first postseason game that year. It was such a letdown. The Raiders were actually really, really fun. 619, I give up on Sammy. Go back and listen to your own show. You said the Mavs missed out on a pairing of Luka and Flag. How exactly was that going to happen? Can I play clarity real quick? Just kind of clear some things up because I think you're both arguing different points. I believe what the texter is saying is that if Luka had stayed on the Mavericks, like the trade never happened, the Mavericks would not have been bad enough to be included in the lottery from last night.
Yes, that is fair. What I am saying is that,
which is valid.
It is valid. If we're giving Nico Harrison credit that he made some.
I don't think the texter is trying to give Nico Harrison any credit.
Then I hear that. I think, though, a lot of people are making the point that Nico Harrison is some genius because he got rid of Luka and now he has Cooper Flag. It's dumb luck, the fact that Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving, who are also in their mid to early 30s, who are two very injury-prone players who happen to get hurt to get in the draft lottery. Otherwise, that wouldn't have happened.
Can we talk about how wild it is that the Dallas Mavericks even got the first overall pick? 1.8%. No,
it's crazy. I mean, we've seen. I want to get into this in hour two because the NBA draft lottery, like I do kind of feel for the Wizards fans, the Charlotte fans, the fans like that. Where I mean, you have two teams at the top. That Dallas was probably making the playoffs next year, assuming everyone was healthy. The Spurs were definitely kind of the sexy pick to come out of the West next year already, and now with the number 2 pick, probably getting Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey. It does feel like a little. I like that the NBA, as someone who's a diehard NBA fan, watches every single Laker game. I like that there's no tanking in the sense because you're not guaranteed the number 1 pick because NBA ratings have struggled a little bit during the regular season. And the last thing you want is some G Leaguers playing the last 30 games of the year. But at the same time, I mean, you don't want all that to happen. What's going on over there?
Text line's wild. We need to get to long shots, though. Sammy Long is going to build you a daily fantasy sports lineup that you can enter on Prize Picks, my favorite daily fantasy sports app. Use promo code Fletch. Get a $50 bonus when you play your first $5 entry. This could be that entry.
Let's see. Underdogs? Nah, that's old. Those with a less than good chance of winning? Too wordy. Wait. Got it. It's time for Sammy's long shots.
Oh, man. Long shots is my favorite part of the day. Sammy builds us a lineup for daily fantasy sports. You can enter it and see if you can win with us. Last week had a couple of winners. Last night was so close. Sammy, where are we going tonight?
We have a 3. We just put a 3 together today because I think we were doing a 5 and then we're getting vetoes and it's getting confusing. So we got a 3 solid one. I feel pretty good about this. Darius Garland more than 18.5 points. I don't care if Donovan Mitchell plays. He doesn't play. Darius Garland, the only way that they have any shot to win this game in Cleveland is if Darius Garland shoots the ball a lot because they don't have the guards. Max Strus has not come through in the series. Ty Jerome has not come through in the series after being really good in round 1. Darius Garland's going to have to take a lot of shots tonight. 18.5 points, more than for him. This is their last chance, so they're going to have to jack the ball up a lot. Now, going to the night game, Denver at Oklahoma City.
They're going to have to do what to the ball?
What?
Never mind.
Continue. Oh, shut up. Nikola Jokic, more than 15.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He's gassed. I get it. Some people are probably a little nervous with this number because it's so high, but he's the only guy on the team. There were things that came out today about apparently an anonymous NBA player or an anonymous player on the Nuggets was getting after saying Russell Westbrook was immature, frustrated with how he plays, very ball dominant. They play 6 guys. They literally play, and then they play a spot Najee every once in a while for the 7. He's gassed, but he has to do everything. He's involved on basically every play down the floor. So 15.5 points, rebounds, and assists, more than I feel like they kind of got to win this game tonight. I know it's not in Denver, so you think that Oklahoma City's favored. I got to check the line. I think they're favored by like 5 or 6. But with all the momentum kind of going back, with how poorly Oklahoma City really played in Game 4, but we're still able to come through with a win, I think Denver needs to get a win tonight. So more than 15.5 points, rebounds, and assists for Jokic. And then on the other side, Isaiah Hartenstein, more than 10.5 points. This goes into my Jokic pick. Jokic is going to have to do everything offensively. This ties into him defensively. He is extremely gassed. They don't have a big to come spell him. Isaiah Hartenstein's kind of been a nice piece in this series. He's been a little bit forgotten about. More than 10.5 points for him. I think they're going to try to go inside and get Jokic in foul trouble early, but I do still think that Jokic hits his over. So Nikola Jokic, more than 15.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Isaiah Hartenstein, more than 10.5 points. And Darius Garland for the Cleveland Cavaliers, more than 18.5 points. How do we feel about that, Fletch?
I like it.
I feel like the
Jokic one's the only one that makes me a little nervous.
I get it's a big number, but then again, he sets up in the middle and he's involved in everything. If we wanted to flip to a Jamal Murray, I'm fine with that. But the Nuggets, there's no one coming to rescue him. They don't play anyone on the bench. The interim head coach is not going to take a big swing and put some guy in off the bench that hasn't played all year. He's every time down, he's involved.
The only thing that makes me a little nervous is it's in OKC. I could see this game tonight becoming one of those games where OKC just jumps out to that crazy lead.
Do you want to go less than? We can flip it.
No, I don't. I have faith in Sammy. Text line doesn't have it today. I do.
One guy doesn't have it today. Please.
I don't know. 949 saying Sammy needs to hop off of Mahomes. I'm going to pronounce this very carefully.
Whoa.
Peanuts.
Oh, his peanuts.
Peanuts. Purdy is 20 times better with half the supporting cast.
Oh, so Niner fan 123 chimed in
That's
today.
That's kind of an insane thing to say. 949.
Fletch, is that your brother or something?
It might be. 703. F that ghoul, Adam Silver. He needs to crawl back into his coffin or stand in the sunlight. F the NBA. Yeah, I get that. I totally understand it. The conspiracy theories have been wild the last 24 hours since the Dallas Mavericks got the first pick.
A good conspiracy theory.
All right, in hour number 2, we are going to get back to the Padres. Kevin Acee is going to be joining us coming up at 1:30, and we'll talk about the lottery system in the NBA. Is this something other sports should even think about touching? Or is this just a basketball thing that's going to stay in basketball and just be theirs? Or is there a chance that the NFL could be adopting this coming up in just a little bit? We also want to get your talkbacks today. We are giving away tickets on the talkback mic today. So if you want to win a pair of tickets to go see Simple Minds with Soft Sell and Modern English on Saturday, May 24th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, leave us a talkback today on the talkback mic, and you could win those tickets. All right, coming up next, hour number 2 on San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. But before we do that, you need to go download the Prize Picks app today. use it with promo code Fletch, FLETCH. You're going to get a $50 bonus when you play your first $5 entry. $50 for 5. That sounds pretty good. Sign me up. Here's a lineup for you. Sammy just made it. Darius Garland, more than 18.5 points tonight. Nikola Jokic, more than 50.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And Isaiah Hartenstein, more than 10.5 points coming up tonight. All of those are basketball picks for the postseason, but everything is on Prize Picks. Baseball, we got daily baseball happening here in San Diego, and Prize Picks is actually the official daily fantasy sports platform of the San Diego Padres. So if you would like to start putting lineups when you're watching the games already every single day, Prize Picks is the place to be. All you got to do is pick more than or less than on player stat projections for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Download Prize Picks today. Use promo code Fletch. And on today, it's a Taco Tuesday. So not only are you getting the bonus $50 when you play your first $5 entry, but there are discounted projections on the board all day long on a Taco Tuesday. Download Prize Picks today. Use promo code Fletch and run your game all season long on Prize Picks.
This sport is sponsored by Lowe's. In the NBA tonight, the Pacers and Cavs will get Game 5 going. Cleveland is favored by 7.5. This is a must-win game for them because Indy leads the series 3-1. The point total is set at a high 229.5. In the night game at 6:30, the Nuggets will be in Oklahoma City taking on the Thunder. That series is tied at 2-2. Oklahoma City is currently favored by 9.5 with the point total set at 221.5. Savings are in full bloom at Lowe's. Right now, get Miracle Grow 3/4 cubic foot all-purpose garden soil for just $2. Shop these savings and more at Lowe's. Valid through 5/14. Excludes Hawaii and Alaska. Selection varies by location while supplies last.
Check the clock.
What
It's high noon. The Padres return to Petco. Not so great.
And he hits one in the air. It's deep to left. Moving after it is Lockridge. He's in the corner at the wall. It's gone! A grand slam!
The Angels pull off the win in the first game of the series.
Oh, that's not very nice.
And maybe Nico wasn't so wrong after all.
The number one pick in the 2025 NBA draft goes to the Dallas Mavericks.
Lucas replacement loading.
Looking flag spinning. Going in strong off the window for two.
Plus a breakdown of the NBA playoffs. All today in the Fletch Zone.
And it's hour number 2 here on San Diego Sports 760. Welcome in. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock today. John and Jim will take over then. Pretty cool if you missed it. Don Van Natter Jr. Reporting today that Rob Manfred, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, has removed both Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson from Major League Baseball's permanently ineligible list. So now both of those guys presumably would be eligible for the Hall of Fame. I think this is a big win for Major League Baseball. Now, can we have the discussion about Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Alex Rodriguez, and guys who got banned for doing what literally everyone was doing and figure out a way to get the best players in baseball history?
They need to all be there. I mean, it's ridiculous that they haven't been. I mean, it's like baseball.
Pete Rose literally still leads Major League Baseball in all-time career hits.
Well, and then you get into the, I mean, like, it doesn't make you swing better.
No.
Steroids don't make you get talent. Yes.
Pete Rose was betting on his own team to win.
Right. And then in terms of the other guys, then betting on his own team. It's not like he was betting his under. It's not like he was betting, I mean, stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm happy that that's going on because especially baseball, like a league that's needed stars for a long time to really be successful. It sucks that a lot of the major stars in the 80s and the 90s just haven't been honored. And it's cool that'll happen.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens with a guy like Fernando Tatis Jr. this year. Like, if he continues at this pace, there's a real shot he wins the National League MVP. But baseball writers, we know, are stingy and insane about steroid users. And Fernando Tatis Jr., like it or not, whether he was just putting on a topical cream or whether he was injecting steroids, Fernando Tatis Jr. has been labeled as a steroid user because of his past in Major League Baseball. Will that stick with him through a potential National League MVP campaign? I don't know the answer to that. I talked to Kevin Acee. He says no, it's not going to hold anything against him.
I mean, because he's still playing. Like, it's not.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Tatis, again, a player that's really good for baseball. In terms of the last thing you want is, let's just speak in terms of, the last thing Major League Baseball wants is Shohei Ohtani and Fernando Tatis not playing.
Of course not. And
like,
with the Shohei Ohtani one, it's a little easier to cover up. He's going to the Dodgers. It's a gambling scandal. He's going to pin it all on his, what was his translator? Ipe Mitsuhara? Yeah, his interpreter. And so we're just going to pin it all on him and Shohei's squeaky clean. Does anyone actually believe that? No one believes that. Maybe Sammy does. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not really concerned with what he was doing.
Shohei Ohtani squeaky clean and all that. Sure. Of course he is.
All I know is that if you get rid of Fernando Tatis Jr., you get rid of Shohei Ohtani, watch MLB ratings plummet.
Of course,
because they already struggle anyway. The only reason that the MLB is having some success in the playoffs is because of the Padres-Dodgers rivalry, because of the Dodgers-Yankees. You can't get rid of these guys, and it's cool going back to, you know, Pete Rose and so many great players in the 90s that they're getting honored because they deserve to.
Step 1 was Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson. Step 2 needs to be Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, Alex Rodriguez. How are we still at that point? Alex Rodriguez is on my TV all the time talking about baseball. How are we still at the point where we're not going to consider him?
Well, it's the same thing with like Reggie Bush. Like Reggie Bush for years,
he got his Heisman back.
He got it back. But for years, it was like, oh, he can't be around the university college football. He was the best player in college football that year. Because they bought his mama house. Zion's getting $10 million. I mean, it's crazy. There's a kid going to Michigan, Bryce Underwood, who literally has not taken a snap and got a $10 million contract from Michigan. It's insane that these guys, they all need to be honored.
All right, we're going to get back to the Padres in a little bit with Kevin Acee. We will continue to talk about the NBA postseason coming up after the big three. But Sammy Long, it is time in hour number 2 to tell us all the top stories in the world of sports. Sammy, hit the button.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? I mean, coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big Three.
Before we get to the big three of hour number 2, Liam Neeson is going to be gracing the big screen as Frank Drebin Jr., the bumbling son of iconic detective in a reboot of the classic Naked Gun comedy franchise. Seth MacFarlane is producing this thing featuring Liam Neeson in outrageous disguises to foil crimes alongside Pamela Anderson and Paul Walter Hauser. It hits theaters on August 1st, 2025. The trailer is out. It is easy to find on YouTube, on everywhere. It's even posted on my Twitter from a couple months ago. If you find that trailer, leave us a talkback today on the free iHeartRadio app. Find us at San Diego Sports 760 on the free iHeartRadio app. Then find that little red microphone button. It's right next to the play button. And you could leave us a 30-second voice message like our buddy Alex did a little bit earlier up in Fallbrook about that Naked Gun trailer. We're going to play those back coming up at the end of the show today. Sammy, where are we starting with hour number 2?
Let's start per Tim McMahon. Just in, the Mavericks will draft Cooper Flagg, and they will not trade the pick. There will be no discussions regardless of that. Do we like that? Would you do that? Would you take the number 1 pick?
Duh. I can't believe that this even came out of Jay Williams' mouth this morning. Like, it's one of those things where you're watching on ESPN and you're like, oh, you're just saying stuff to say stuff. Because there's no possible reason for the Dallas Mavericks to ever trade out of a cannot miss Cooper Flagg first overall pick that pretty much consensusly, if you watch college basketball at all, I say he could use another year. That doesn't mean he's not the best player in the world out of college basketball right now. He is 18 years old. From everything you hear from a guy like Coach K, who recruited him when he was still in high school, you know that he has that competitive spirit, that drive, that he's going to want to come and make everyone better on his team. You're talking about a hundreds of millions of dollars opportunity for the Dallas Mavericks to make in his first 2 seasons, just in jersey sales and ticket revenue. This would be an insane thing if they were to trade him. Thank you, Nico Harrison, for making that decision.
Yeah. I mean, why would you get rid of this guy? I'm curious. Why do you think you should go back another year?
I think he could use some more development. I really do. Like, you watch him play.
You think you're going to be more developed in college over the NBA?
I do. I think you could use one more year in college.
But against guys that he's so much better than?
He's not done growing yet, first and foremost. He grew an inch this past season. Like, he was 6'8" when he was getting ready to be a part of Duke. He's 6'9" now. Cooper Flagg, when you watch him play basketball, it's like he is 90% of the way cooked. He's not all the way done yet. If you want a really nice medium rare at a steakhouse, he's a little more on the side of just rare.
Yeah, but again, he's not going to get better when he's so much better than everyone in college basketball. I don't understand why him at Duke is going to develop him outside of simply the fact that he will naturally get stronger because he'll get older. He can do that in the NBA. He needs his first season in the NBA. We saw Victor Wembanyama. I mean, he was showed the flashes his first season. He was a very good player, but he's 1,000 times better player now that he's grown into his body. This is going to be an excellent pick. It's going to be interesting because Kyrie Irving's a free agent. Does Kyrie come back? I'm assuming he will now that you're going to form a little bit of a big 3 there. But, I mean, how does the timeline work? Because Anthony Davis is 32 and Kyrie's 33. How long of a contract are you going to sign those guys? Those are 2 injury-prone players. Like, what's the timeline here? Because you might put unfair expectations on this dude year 1 because he's going to a team that's not a Charlotte Hornets, not a Washington Wizards where
if the Mavs were being smart, they'd probably trade both of those guys and try to build up around Cooper Flagg.
After trading Luka Doncic?
Yeah.
Nico Harrison literally might get killed in that city.
But you have Cooper Flagg. This is his get-out-of-jail-free card.
Well, he's got the get-out-of-jail-free card in taking him. This is why it doesn't make sense. Like, if you had Luka and these guys, you would have built a juggernaut for years to go. Just like San Antonio.
But Sammy, if you had Luka, you would never have gotten the first overall pick. You know that now. We've learned over the last hour and 9 minutes.
Yeah, we've been educated. But like San Antonio, that's a team that's scary for years to come. I mean, because they have that's a potential Giannis trade.
They would have landed the first overall pick,
dude. They got Castle, one of the best young guards in the NBA. You got Victor Wembanyama. You got all this talent. De'Aaron Fox. I mean, they're going to get Bailey, and it's going to be unreal. All right, let's move on to number 2. Bill Belichick has addressed his girlfriend Jordan Hudson with UNC players and says it's not a football issue. He went on SportsCenter to discuss this. It's a personal relationship, he said, and she doesn't have anything to do with football. Fletch, do you think the players will be distracted on the field when they see her standing on the sideline?
I don't know. This is so weird. This is so opposite of everything Belichick. Those comments you just read, that's Belichickian. But it's Belichickian talking about a player on his team. This isn't a football thing. Leave it off the field. That is what he preached for years and years and years. And somehow his personal life has now melded into a football thing. I saw a report earlier today that said Belichick may not ever be the coach of North Carolina come week 1 of college football.
Really? Where'd you see that?
It was the same dude that was reporting. I'll find it.
All right, you find it. It was very telling because Julian Edelman was on Colin last week, I believe. And Colin asked about, I give Colin a lot of props. He asked him about that and kind of went there with him. And I kind of thought that Julian Edelman was going to give the political answer and that it's none of their business. And considering that, I mean, Belichick.
Sports Illustrated had it, by the way.
Okay,
There's a real chance Belichick won't even be coaching the North Carolina football team in week 1.
I mean, to that end, he said Bill Belichick would preach in meetings. It is hard enough to win on the field. When you bring other stuff into it, off the field drama, it's even harder to win in the NFL. This is story. Now, did Bill Belichick intend for this story to be probably be what it is? No. But in the same time, Bill plays victim in the sense of, well, why is everyone talking about this? And why is this a big deal? Well, maybe because your girlfriend dressed up as a mermaid and you're doing the dirty dancing shot on the beach, okay? And you're 72 years old, bro.
I think he's older than that. Isn't he 74?
Dude, I don't know. I mean, kudos to him, but damn, man. Like, how does this get brought up in
73. She's 24. It's a problem, is what it is. This is so opposite of everything that he's done throughout his career. It's insane to me that this is happening.
It really feels like there's just like a massive like midlife crisis.
Have you seen the conspiracy theories that like COVID happened and while we were all locked in our homes, there was a reality shift? Like we jumped to a different timeline?
Little Marvel.
Is there a possibility that we reality shifted to a timeline where now all of a sudden Bill Belichick is like the hottest gossip in the E columns?
Dude, the guy that wouldn't talk to reporter. It's so odd.
Like most people didn't even know that the weird guy on New England sideline doing the weird thing with his mouth was Bill Belichick's son. Most people didn't know that was his son.
It's
because he was that private of a guy.
It's an interesting time that we live in. All right, quickly, third story. Cowboys Eagles, we got to this yesterday, is opening up the season. Stephen A made a point that I kind of agree with, in that he doesn't like that rivalries in interdivision games are happening on the beginning of the season. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think that they should push that down the year, or do you like the inter-rivalry right off the
Bring it on. Give me those. You got to be in mid-season shape by week 1 because everything matters in an NFL season. Every regular season game matters so much by the end of the year. We got a great text on this, by the way, from the 484. It says, props to the NFL for letting the Cowboys have to watch the Eagles unveil their second Super Bowl banner in week 1 of this year. Jerry Jones is going to have to digitize his VHS copies of his pre-iPhone Super Bowls before they degrade to dust in the wind. This is a part of this game that I did not think about. But the fact that the Cowboys are going to have to be there on the sidelines watching as the Philadelphia Eagles have to lower the banner of their most recent Super Bowl, the win that they had last year over, who are they playing against, Sammy, in the Super Bowl?
Where was Brock Purdy at in Cancun? What resort was he at?
He was actually driving around in his Tundra. He's a big Toyota guy, just like me. So yeah, he's fine.
You named your dog after Brock. You drive the same car. Is there like a thing going on that Kendall needs to know about?
Oh no, she's well aware. Look, if Justin Bieber ever walks into her life, I'm just all right. I get it.
Biebs.
No. Yep. If Brock Purdy walks into my life, I'm loading up my Tacoma. He's loading up his Tundra. We're going to play golf.
I'd be alarmed if I was Brock Purdy, but I'm against this. I don't like this off the bat. This ties into what I'm talking about with Thanksgiving games, Christmas games. Put interdivision matchups because you know that there's a better chance of the game mattering down the stretch. If you burn this right away, then already a team is down 0-1 in the division. And it's going to be an exciting game. It's going to be super fun to open the year with this. But at the same time, it's like when you put these random AFC, NFC rivalries or games late in the year, there's less of a chance of it mattering for exact playoff position. There's nothing better than the end of the year. Think about what we had week 18. We had Vikings-Lions with a shot to win the division, or the other would be the 5 seed. That stuff is fun. I wish they would save these games. I wouldn't mind if the NFL did a thing where they played all their non-division games like in a row. And then in 1 month of the year, in December, they played down the stretch. They played every single game. I think
Sammy's scared of the Chargers in week 1. That's what's going on.
Oh, yeah. Because the Chiefs are so scared of the Chargers.
Probably should be. Hey, coming up next on the Fletch Zone, we're going to get back into the NBA postseason. Plus, we're going to play a game. I just got a text from a buddy of mine who's watching us on YouTube saying, what the hell's on Sammy's shirt? So we're also going to play a game called What the Hell's on Sammy's shirt? Coming up next on San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. Kevin AC coming up in 10 minutes here on San Diego Sports 760. Glad you brought us back with some easy on the mic. So Sammy Long, let's play the game. Let's finish the game. I got a text from my buddy Jerry, who's actually listening. I went to college with Jerry. What up, Jerry?
Jerry, give us some stories about Fletch in college.
Sent me a text and said, what the hell's on Sammy's shirt? So now that the jacket is off, we could kind of start to see. That is Eazy-E, right?
It's Eazy-E, Betty White, and Dr. Dre.
What was going on that night?
I don't know.
Is it a real picture?
I think probably, huh?
Is that a real picture?
I believe so. I got it off Etsy. I was like scrolling late at night. I'm like, I have to buy this. There's no way I can not buy this shirt.
Are you a big Betty White fan?
Why not? Golden Girls, right?
Golden Girls. Lit, dude.
Big Eazy and Dr. Dre fan.
Big Eazy and Dr. Dre. I would honestly think I've probably consumed more of Betty White than I have of Eazy and Dr. Dre, although I'm big fans of their work. But Betty White and The Proposal.
Oh, she was in The Proposal.
Breaking it down to some Lil Jon, to the window, to the wall.
Oh, yeah.
Till the,
What's your favorite NWA song?
Probably the one you just played, dude.
No idea. No idea.
Rolling down the street in my 6-4.
What's the name of that song?
Rolling down the street in my 6-4.
Yeah. I'm going to need to educate you guys on the rocks of little NWA.
Yeah, I mean,
we need to go over and see Beto at Jammin'.
Tomorrow we're actually doing. I just got our little rundown for tomorrow. We're doing Led Zeppelin versus the Rolling Stones. Which band reigns supreme? So if you want to find the answer to that, tomorrow morning, 101.5
Wait,
KGB.
say it one more time.
Rolling Stones or Led Zeppelin? Which band reigns supreme?
Ooh, that's tough.
I mean, Led Zeppelin might have the greatest rock song ever, period, end of discussion, in Stairway to Heaven.
I would say this is
most iconic classic rock song of all time is Led Zeppelin Stairway to Heaven. It's not even close.
This is my take. Zeppelin had better albums. Like the Stones had a gazillion big hits. The problem with the Stones is that they usually had like 1 or 2 or 3 good songs on the album, and the rest was like pure dog crap. But combined all that together, and there's like an excellent catalog of stuff.
There'd be a great best of.
Great best of.
Zeppelin.
Whereas Zeppelin has, they have classic albums.
They have Stairway to Heaven, which is just kind of a.
Is that the only Led Zeppelin song you know?
Immigrant Song. What's the?
Let's keep it going.
Black Dog.
Black Dog's a great song.
Poof. I'm on fire, baby.
Man, those are some real deep cuts you got into there.
Well, 101.5 KGB, we play the hits, dog. That's what we do. This is San Diego Sports 760. We do appreciate you being here. My name is Ben Fletcher. That's Sammy Long. We will be here till 2 o'clock.
949 said, real quick, referencing earlier, golf is code for trapping Brock Purdy in Fletch's basement.
Yeah, that's accurate. Is there a problem with that? I mean, big fan of the guy. Yeah. 619 gents, here's a dad joke explaining why Bella Cheat is in this situation. What's better than roses on your piano? And that's all we can get to. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you. Glad Sammy wasn't reading that text because that just would have kept on going.
Shout out to Brian, man.
All right.
That's creative.
Let's talk about
I love how you started reading it and then you don't understand.
Warriors last night found themselves in the lead. Getting close to halftime. Timberwolves were kind of on their heels. Warriors were looking good. Kuminga was playing excellent as forecasted by Sammy Long. And then halftime happened. And I guess Anthony Edwards, who is an absolute bona fide gonna be superstar in this league, Anthony Edwards takes charge in the halftime locker room. There's quotes from him after the game where he said, look, we're playing like we already won 4 games in this series, and we haven't. We've won 2. We're talking about playing against a team that has more championship pedigree in their lineup than just about the rest of the NBA combined at this point with players who are in the league. We need to stop playing like we're already won 4 games and understand that we haven't won S. That is the quote from Anthony Edwards from last night. That's impressive as hell that somebody he's 22, 23 years old, young guy in this league, has already taken on that sort of leadership role. And you saw it in the team when they come out after halftime. It is a different Timberwolves team than was playing in the first half. And they jumped on the Warriors, erased the deficit, and march out to what they win by last night. 15 points?
7
points last night.
And I also want to say that I gave you Timberwolves on the spread as well. And I told you Knicks money line. So I'm going to take a lot of credit for last night.
All about Sammy. But yeah, I think Anthony Edwards showing some real leadership last night. And then the way the team responds in the second half, it's not fake. It's authentic. Anthony Edwards goes into the locker room and guys, listen. That's what the NBA is looking for. When you have this future face of the league discussion, it's not who is going to make the most highlight dunks, who's going to put up 50 points in a regular season game. No, it's guys who can change the narratives of an entire team. And that's what Anthony Edwards did last night, kind of building up a roster full of veterans. Julius Randle's been in this league a long time. He's always been a forgotten number 2. Last night, he was a star. And I don't think you necessarily get that without Anthony Edwards stepping up the way he did.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Edwards, superstar. We know this. The reason that they're winning all these games is that Julius Randle. No one expected this. No one expected going into the postseason. Julius Randle's been a guy who was kind of a James Harden narrative of really had poor performances in the postseason when he was the Knicks number one. He didn't fare very well. It's kind of unfair to Julius Randle because he's not a number one. He's never been a number one talent. He's an excellent number two. It sucks that we don't get to see the series with Curry healthy because I don't know how I'd have the series. It's not like I would say the Timberwolves have played particularly great basketball. They've had good moments, but I'm actually surprised at how close some of these games have been. Take away last night, but how some of these games have been with the lack of talent really on the Warriors without Curry. But both matchups will be really fun. I'm assuming the Timberwolves move on against the Nuggets or the Thunder. I think the Thunder probably have a little too much depth for them because a problem with the Timberwolves, they only play 8 guys. This is kind of a recurring theme. The Knicks are similar. They only play 8 guys. That's working out well for them. I think against an Oklahoma City, that could come back to bite them. But against the Nuggets, who really only play 6 dudes and sometimes 7, Minnesota kind of has the depth. So if I'm Minnesota, I'm pulling extremely hard for Denver in this series.
We're big fans of Jim Russell here on the Fletch Zone. We love him to death. We really do. Jim Russell, great guy.
Jimbo.
Direct quote from Jim Russell's Twitter account earlier today. Worst loss of the season was last night for the San Diego Padres. Coming up next on the Fletch Zone. Was it the worst loss of the season?
Was it also for his Warriors as well?
With Kevin Acee coming up next on San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. Kevin Acee next.
This sport is sponsored by Rapid Radios. The Angels game 2 against the Padres tonight. Jose Soriano will be going for the Angels while Dylan Cease will be going for the Padres. The Padres are currently minus 215 on the money line. The run line opened at 8.5 and has been bet down to 7.5. That'll be the second game of the series. And Trey Hendrickson, star pass rusher for the Cincinnati Bengals, said today that he will not play without a new contract. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Perfect for instant contact with an aging parent. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com and you'll get an extra 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off.
Kevin Acee on San Diego Sports 760. Brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place.
Oh, I dream about it every single week. Mondays just don't do it for me. Tuesdays, I wake up with a little extra pep in my step because I know Kevin Acee is going to be jumping on the show. And would you look at that? Kevin Acee is here. Hi, Kevin.
How you guys doing?
Oh, so good. That was a pretty fun game last night until the 9th inning.
Yeah, I mean, if you appreciate some, drama, it was a great game throughout. If you were rooting for the Padres, not so much, but man, Jackson Merrill, he tried to take over that game. It just, didn't work out.
He did take over the game, Kev. They got it to the closer. Yeah. You feel like that's it has been a winning formula for the Padres so far this year. Suarez has not been that bad at all. But let's talk about Jackson Merrill first, because he was excellent at the plate. I thought he might have been even better in the field. Early in the game, he has the one on the warning track where he kind of had to take an insane route to get to it. And then in the 7th inning, that catch he makes coming in on the ball and diving for it, was that as magnificent as it looked on TV?
Yeah, I'm really glad you mentioned that catch. I didn't give that the first one, the one that he went back. I didn't give that enough credit, probably. The one in the way he played it, the way he knew he just kind of anticipated it and all of it. He knew how hard to run. Like I was thinking to myself after the first catch, man, that kid used to be a shortstop. And after the second one, I'm like, are you sure that this kid has not been playing center field his whole life? I try to just really go slow with players, and he still has a lot to accomplish. And I'm not trying to say he's one of the best players in the league, but it's pretty promising and pretty exciting what he is doing.
Kevin, we were debating this over the week or yesterday on the show. Do you think the Padres weekend in Colorado was a success with the 21-point performance and then the loss on Sunday?
I understand the sentiment because after you do what you did the first two, and considering how awful the Rockies are, I understand the sentiment. You can't be a major league ball player or manager and not think that 2 out of 3 and 6 and 3 is good. You have to it is good. And then you have to remind yourself of that, because yes, it feels deflating to come out of a series like that, especially when you lose the last one and you've got to see exactly how bad the Rockies are, how depleted they are. I mean, they were not going to be good anyway. They were going to finish in last place, but then they get injuries to their only good. Well, not their only. They've got Ryan McMahon out there, and Brenton Doyle's playing kind of hurt. But they've got lost some players. It's just an awful situation. But if you still have to remind yourself, 6-3 on the road trip, 2-1, things are all right.
Kevin, the bullpen has been on uneasy territory over the last week. I think we had the stat earlier, but they were sitting at a 1.68 ERA last Monday. Today it's at a 3.59. Which is kind of crazy to think that in 7 days' time it can change that much. But there's been some blowups. In New York, you had the late game blow up against the Yankees where 10 runs got allowed by the bullpen. Last night, a little bit of a late game blow up from Suarez and Alec Jacob in the 9th. Is there anything worrying you're seeing with the bullpen, or is this maybe a situation of a little overuse that's happened so far?
Right. And I want to be careful with the word overuse just to make sure it's not placed at anyone's feet. They've actually done as good a job as they can. They really have. If you look at you chart it, which I do, trying to give their guys rest. And that's a little bit of what happened, by the way, on Tuesday. Wandy Peralta is in there, and Adrian Mahorahone actually in that situation are in there because they've got to give Jason Adam, Jeremiah Estrada some rest. They just do. And so Monday, Tuesday, because they won the first one. They've got to give guys some rest. So yes, there's been a lot of use. Overuse always implies that like they were used improperly. But I don't think that's what you're saying. You're just saying that, they've been used a lot. They're higher leverage guys. As a matter of fact, almost all their guys have been used a lot because, quite frankly, before the starting rotation found its footing, there were some duds, and the bullpen had to come in and they did their jobs. I mean, it was amazing. It was like every night we were talking about how good this bullpen was. And so, yeah, I think we're in one of those lulls. Now, that said, there's never been a 5-game stretch in Padres history in which they gave up 29 runs ever. And there was one where they gave it back in the 70s. I was born, you were not, that they gave up close to this much, but in more innings. Like, there just has never been. Now, that said, there have been some close ones. Like, there have been some really bad stretches, and then the bullpen always recovers to some extent. They'll be okay, I think.
Kevin, Stephen Kolek was excellent over the weekend. Do you think the Padres are seeing him as a potential really big starter in the back end, or was that just the Rockies?
He's a starter in the back end. I mean, look, he did it at Coors Field, so I don't know if that negates that it was the Rockies, but it balances it out, right? Because that place is insane, and a walk if you're then leads a bloop hit, and now you got guys on second and third after a bloop double, and then it just takes something to fall in that gigantic outfield and 2 runs score, and he didn't allow that to happen. So he deserves credit for that. But you're right, it was the Rockies, and the week before that it was Pirates. But he has a lot of run. And I will tell you, if he can keep attacking the strike zone like he is, then it sure seems, to some people in spring training that this is a number 4 or 5 starter for you. And that's a very important piece. If they took a Rule 5 guy that the Mariners gave up on, basically, they turn him into a 4 or 5 starter for them at cheap labor for the next 5 years. That's pretty good.
Kevin Acee of the Union Tribune on with us today. He's our San Diego Padres insider. Kevin, I did want to read you a tweet put out by our very own Jim Russell. Is that okay with you?
Oh boy. Okay, I'll sit down.
That's the appropriate reaction.
Well, it's only 5 words. Worst loss of the year. Would you co-sign that?
Okay, let's see. There've been 15 of them. Trying to think through them to give a really. It's hard to beat this one, right? I mean, what am I going with? Because you can't compare the 2 Yankees losses to this one. The Angels aren't very good. They do have, unlike the Rockies, they have some legit major league players that are, they could beat you. I thought that going into the series. Yeah, I mean, is there one that I'm missing? Where it was just terribly, terribly, terribly disappointing against the team that you should beat and your closer kind of blew up. On the other hand, I could make you the argument that, losing 3 to the Rays, you could pick any one of those because Robert Suarez didn't come in and blow them, right? I mean, you left guys on base and some of your big guys didn't come through for you and you only lost by whatever it was, 1 run, I think twice. So I could make the argument that all 3 of those were worse than this one, or at least 2 of those were worse than this one. But that's, as Jim Russell tweets go, that's not that bad, guys.
Kevin, Fletch and I have been debating this all week, and maybe I'm just the only one that has a problem with it. Do you have a problem with the Padres playing the Mariners on rivalry week over the Dodgers?
Well, no, because I don't really care. But I get the sentiment. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty silly. But the fact is, like, not every team can have a rival, right? I mean, you just can't. Like a true rival where, like, history made it so. And you can't. And who would the Padres rival be? Because the Dodgers have other rivals.
Kev, let me throw this out there. The Dodgers are also playing on rivalry weekend, but they're not playing against the Giants, who would be their true rival from, like, my childhood. They're playing against the Angels.
Right. But their proximity says that. I'm with you guys. But I just don't care because it's stupid. Because they're going to play these teams anyway, and the whole thing is stupid. Now, that doesn't mean I can't have some fun with the Better Cup and the fact that I have in the past thought, oh, this is cool. Yeah, like, I can. But that's because I'm just not, like, I just think it's all dumb anyway. Like, now, not rivalry weekend if you're in New York and Boston. That's cool. But like Chicago, I assume the Cubs play the Cardinals this weekend.
I think so. Yeah. I think it's Cubs and White Sox. Or no, I do think you're. No, isn't it?
It might be.
I think it's Cubs.
Cubs. I'm looking up right now. I think it's Cubs and White Sox.
All right, Kev. Either way, I'm glad you sent us the note before coming on today that you are releasing a book in a couple years, and the title of the book is "I Don't Care, It's Stupid." That's a very, very good title.
To make like it makes me sound just terrible, but like Players Weekend, like that was neat, but okay, came and went, and no one really cared, right? Back when they did those uniforms, like whatever. But I'm with you. But think about it though. If we're gonna get hot and bothered, how many true rivalries are there in baseball?
Not that many.
Some of them you just have to make up. And I will say this about obviously the Cubs Cardinals is far more intense, but to the fans and people in Chicago, Cubs White Sox, I mean, that's appropriate for, that's appropriate. Maybe if you get a team one day in Tijuana, then the Padres can have themselves a true rival.
Maybe one day. Hey, Kev, how much better do you like being in San Diego than being in Pittsburgh, New York, and Colorado?
Well, it is very nice to be home. I will just tell you that. Though I love Pittsburgh. It is really nice to be home. That was a long one. You throw in rain delays, the two East cities, and then then Denver. That was a long one. But there was also a lot of good baseball. Some bad baseball. But there was some really good baseball. It was really entertaining. I say this about the Padres, man. They're entertaining.
They do keep it entertaining. Hey, Kev, I'm going to send you a link right now to something I know you would appreciate. If John Gruden seems to be the only person who can track down Phillip Rivers these days. And so John Gruden actually went all the way out to Alabama, tracked him down. It's about a 5-minute interview that he does with him. It's really, really great. And I think you'll like it a lot. Oh, wow. So I'm sending that your way as we speak. And Kev, we'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Cool. All right. Take care, guys.
Yeah, maybe you should go out to Alabama and see if you can get Phillip Rivers to do an interview with you. That'd be pretty fun.
Actually, I kind of made a thing that I'm not going to interview Phillip anymore. I'm just going to talk to him.
Oh, that's actually really cool.
Every day for about 12 years.
That's a cool thing, Kev.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you later, pal.
I wouldn't if but he's just a good guy. So I'll look forward to reading that.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
Kevin AC on San Diego Sports 760. Brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort. The Players Place.
Oh, I love getting to chat with Kev every single Tuesday. And yeah, I can't wait for his book. I Don't Care, It's Stupid.
That's a great title.
That's
like a
fantastic
title. To just you look, you're in Barnes and Noble. You're gonna see that.
All right, I just mentioned it, and I'm going to put up the video right now. But John Gruden, who's working with Barstool Sports now, did probably a 5.5-minute kind of drive and talk and walk and talk with Phillip Rivers. That's really fascinating. Phillip Rivers has a child right now, he and Tiffany's latest child, who is 1 year younger than Phillip Rivers' grandchild. So he has a kid.
Hold on.
Phillip Rivers has a kid with his wife, Tiffany, who he has 10 kids with her, who is 1 year younger than his oldest grandchild. So Phillip's daughter has already grown up and had a baby, and Phillip and Tiffany are still having babies.
Nice.
Which is insane. But he said, yeah, a couple of years from now, you're going to be seeing my grandkid throw my son a ball on the football field.
That's pretty tight. I like that.
Cool?
Yeah.
And he's just living his best life coaching out there in Alabama. Gunnar Rivers, by the way, his oldest son, who's playing high school football right now, is going to be one of the top prospects in the country.
I love that he's got the same throwing. He does the push, but it like works.
He was like leading the state in passing yards last year. Pretty cool. All right, we're going to take our final break of the day. Coming up next on the Fletch Zone on San Diego Sports 760. We're giving away those tickets. We're going to play some of your talkbacks. That's next on San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Download the Prize Picks app today. When you do, you're going to want to use promo code FLETCH, FLETCH. You're going to get a $50 bonus when you play your first $5 entry. I talk about Taco Tuesday all the time. I love Taco Tuesday. Not only is it a tasty tortilla wrapped meat bomb that you can get at pretty much any restaurant in San Diego, it is also a nice, tasty discount. On Prize Picks, there are going to be players hitting the board all day today, slightly discounted from their normal projections. Use them in your lineup. Get some free spots on the bingo board when you download the Prize Picks app today. Use promo code FLETCH. Get that $50 bonus and start making lineups, whether it's baseball lineups, whether it's basketball lineups for the postseason, hockey's postseason going on right now as well. Whatever it takes, you can make combo lineups between sports. Just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 players. You pick their stat projections. But part of the reason I love Prize Picks so much is that when I win, and I do frequently, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes when I withdraw from the Prize Picks app directly into my bank account. I've withdrawn over $4,900 from Prize Picks since November of 2023. If you want to jump on the train with me, download Prize Picks today. Use promo code FLETCH, FLETCH. Get that $50 bonus and start running your game all season long on Prize Picks. All right, we got breaking news out of the NBA coming up in just a little bit, but Liam Neeson is going to be starring in the reboot of the classic Naked Gun comedy franchise. He is playing Frank Drebin Jr., the bumbling son of the iconic detective. Liam Neeson's going to be in it. Seth MacFarlane's directing it. I can't wait for it. It comes out August 1st, 2025. Pamela Anderson's in this flick. Come on, man. Come on,
Tommy going to be in it?
Speaking of which, we got breaking news on some new cover models for the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition. But Sammy, we did get a talk back today from our buddy Alex. Alex, excited for this new movie as well. Let's hear it.
Hey guys, this is Alex from Fallbrook. If the new Naked Gun movie does not have any references to a Bronco chase or I don't know, like an orange rolling on the ground, it's not going to be it. You know, it's got to have some tribute to the man, the myth, and the legend himself.
He would be talking about
the myth and the legend.
Orenthal James Simpson, O.J. Simpson, legendary Buffalo Bills running back, one of the greatest college running backs of all time. Unfortunately, he did have a second half to his life. He was a great actor. I mean, OJ,
he was a great actor.
He was a really good actor. And then there was all that business with the Ford Bronco chase. And, you know, did he murder or did he not? He actually did end up in jail for a little bit and wrote a book called If I Would Have Done It. But I have good news for you, Alex. There are OJ references in this movie. Seth MacFarlane holding no punches in the trailer. In fact, they go through everybody who is a descendant of somebody who played in the original Naked Gun movies. And Liam Neeson is kneeling below a portrait of Leslie Nielsen. Paul Walter Hauser is kneeling below a portrait of, gosh, I can't remember the name of the buddy cop in the original Naked Gun.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to bug me. But Paul Walter Hauser plays his son, and OJ's kid, not in real life, but in the movie, OJ's kid is kneeling and kind of gives a quirky look to the camera.
I can't wait for this. Seth MacFarlane, this movie's going to be fantastic. He knows how to do this thing right. When he was a kid, he told a story about how he used to write comics and do like kind of like offensive, funny comments or comics in the back of newspapers. And he almost got like excommunicated out of the town because of this. I'm like, Seth MacFarlane is going to do this movie right. I am super excited for this. No punches held, and I will be there opening night.
Good stuff from Alex. And you know what, Alex? Because you left the talkback on the talkback mic, you're also going to win a pair of tickets to go see Simple Minds with Soft Sell and Modern English Saturday, May 24th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. Alex, you have fun at that concert, man. Maybe Samuel will go too, and he'll be wearing an Easy and Betty White shirt. Some breaking news out of the NBA. This is actually pretty sad here. So Jason Tatum, we all saw him go down with an injury yesterday. Turns out the doctors on Twitter have been correct. He today underwent successful surgery to repair a ruptured right Achilles tendon. No timetable is currently available for his return, but he's expected to make a full recovery. Further updates will be provided when appropriate. That from the official Boston Celtics X account. And it's kind of one of those things that I thought that I knew that was the case last night, but I hoped it wasn't. I hope this was going to be a moment where Jason Tatum, he gets wheelchaired in the locker room, and then he has a Paul Pierce moment where he comes on back out, because that makes for a better series. That makes for a better postseason. And Jason Tatum in the second half was really starting to play well. Went on fire for a little bit where he was making three-pointer after three-pointer after three-pointer.
I mean, he had 42 points. It sucks. He's a fantastic player, and it sucks because the Knicks probably win this series, and there's always kind of going to be a little bit of a what if, even though the Knicks have rightly won this series so far. They have been.
I don't know that the Knicks win that game last night if Jason Tatum doesn't get hurt. Well, there was 4 minutes left in the game. Or so.
2:58. I mean, they were on a little bit of a run, but again, it does put a little taint on the series. It's interesting about, not to make light of the injury, because that's awful and wishing him nothing but the best, but had they lost this series, which they probably will, there's kind of been some rumors about Giannis. Is there some wholesale changes coming? You wonder if that kind of gets put on the back burner because you never got to see what this team could fully do. But yeah, wishing him nothing but the best.
By the way, earlier today, you heard me chatting with Gary Cooper a little bit over at Mountain Trust Mortgage and Realty. If you go to my Instagram story right now at Fletch Sports, you could see that home that he was talking about. It's up in Big Bear, a great investment opportunity. Give Gary a call if you're interested, 858-376-1299, or visit him online at mountaintrustmortgage.com. Check out the Instagram story. This house in Big Bear is ridiculous. There's a hot tub there. It's already one of the top performers on Airbnb. So if you buy it, boom, you already got another income source going. All right, that's it for me and Sammy today. John and Jim are coming up next. It is San Diego Sports 760. What did I forget, Sammy?
No, we just want to thank everyone on the stream. Over 500 on the stream. So shout out to all of you.
I don't even think we really teased it today. That's just people knowing where to find us.
Just people looking out.
I love it. Yeah, find us on Twitter at Fletch and Sammy. Follow us there. We stream live there every day, and at San Diego Sports 760 on YouTube. Would love a subscription there. I have some very funny Quail Hollow jokes that we're going to have to debut on tomorrow's show. That is the site of the PGA Championship this year. Plus, we are very close to the 1-year anniversary of Scotty Scheffler getting arrested before a golf tournament.
Very excited for that. We also have tomorrow. We got some hot takes on Zeppelin and Rolling Stones. Really lit up the text line.
Let's light it up tomorrow. San Diego Sports 760. Thank you for being here.